Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Recently, the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Agency prepared a field study for 1,500 villages to determine the economic capabilities and the job opportunities in those villages. This study comprised a number of axes, and in order to know more about it, we're very much delighted to have with us over the phone Dr. Sahar Nazmi, Professor of Economy. Good morning to you, Dr. Sahar.
Good morning.
And now, firstly, could you please shed more light on that study and the importance of knowing exactly what are the capabilities and job opportunities available in villages?
We have a plan for Egypt youth employment. We have another plan parallel to it, a decent life in rural areas, focusing on creating job opportunities in rural areas to stop immigration of the youth looking for an opportunity to work will definitely give more sustainability and more productive opportunities for the youth in rural areas, providing decent life conditions, not only from drinking water, nice housing, streets and infrastructure, but also job opportunities for a sustainable and quality life for them.
Yes. Dr. Sahar, this is of course part of the Decent Life Initiative or Hayya Karima, which also aims at creating jobs for the most needy segments in villages around Egypt. So tell us about the economic benefits of the initiative.
The economic benefits will definitely impact Egypt being an attractive opportunity, an attractive area for job creation for the youth, looking into the most lucrative industries in those rural areas, investigating their investment feasibility and sustainability for 5 years will allow for both increased opportunities for direct employment created by large private investors and for indirect employment in rural, micro, small and medium enterprises and as small-scale producers along value chains. This study is in the process of identifying value chains subsectors within the rural economies of the governments where assistance can be provided by both the government and private sector.
Yes. And what about the role of the study in helping us make the utmost use of the capabilities of each village? Because each village could have its own unique opportunities and capabilities. So how can we benefit from that?
The feasibility of this study is to intervene, to look into opportunities of each rural areas in terms of whether it's an agribusiness area, a dairy product, medicinal area, aromatic plants, subsectors. Identifying each sector within each rural areas will give a competitive edge for each area accordingly. So if one area is specialized in dairy products, then building on that will produce a more profitable and sustainable project within the dairy segment. On the other side, if we find an area where craft works are better done there with the raw materials, then boosting this industry will be very much suitable to the people living within this area, especially females.
And how important is this study when it comes to training youth and also on the different crafts and industries? Because as you mentioned, each village has its uniqueness in terms of capabilities and opportunities. And many villages around Egypt, they have this potential when it comes to handicraft, especially for women and youth. So how can the study help us in training those women and youth?
It will definitely be put on their agenda, developing the skills, making their work more profitable and productive, making an informed decision about the potential and relevance of the identified sectors and value chain will ascertain whether intervention to develop the sectors would be feasible, will better target enterprises and businesses, entrepreneurs development, in order to allow businesses to tap into existing market demands and increase economic opportunities for employment, particularly through addition initiatives. It will also develop initial assessments about the underlying constraints in the market system. Where are the difficulties? Where are the challenges? And I think one of the most challenges here is the human power.
Yes, I was just going to ask you about that, Dr. Sahar. I was just going to ask you about the role of the study in the development of the human resources in those areas.
It is very crucial and very essential to develop the skills, to teach them, and to examine their performance on daily basis and on annual basis, and keep developing their skills to capture economic opportunities in the subsectors and to succeed in developing the projects in its better states.
Yes. Dr. Sahar, why is it a must to hold training courses to train youth for the market or to help them establish their own projects and businesses? Because in so many cases, they have a talent in whatever field that you mentioned, but they don't know how to start their own business. So how can we train them to know how to make feasibility study, how to calculate the profits, how to put prices, and so on?
A very good part of NGOs today and different organizations in entrepreneurship is pushing, is teaching, is informing the youth how to build their business, how to launch their project, if they have a product or a service, how economically they can scale it up, starting from zero base into scaling up their projects and making it a more nationwide service or product. It is very essential and very important to push the youngsters, the new generation, not to wait for a job, not to wait for the government to create the job opportunities. The government is doing their efforts. The private sector is absorbing a lot of good calibers from the graduates today. However, the trend to be your own boss, to have your own business, and to start your own business, it is being supported and promoted by different NGOs and different organizations for entrepreneurship.
Dr. Sahar, how do you see
we have seen a lot of success stories.
Yes, yes, of course. And those success stories actually help us in like a guideline, but also how do you see the importance of carrying out more studies to help citizens and encourage them to start their own enterprises and expand the scope of their projects, how to be entrepreneurs? As you mentioned here, we're talking about the role of academia and researchers in that particular area.
And I think we cannot go blindly into any area and starting an investment. I think studies and data is very important for developing an economy and developing the sustainable businesses across Egypt. It will contribute to economic growth and to measure the stability of each sector year by year. It will measure investment efficiency and its contribution to employment, and it will also shed light on how much female share in total employment and gender coefficient for hourly wage will be also measured through studies.
Yes.
Studies is very important because you get facts off the ground. You get facts from the real environment, from the people living there. You understand their direction, their trends, attitudes, what do they like to do, what they are good at, how can they do a fantastic job in different domains like agriculture, wholesale, retail trading, manufacturing, craftswear, etc., etc.
Yes.
So I think research and studies is very essential on a yearly basis to measure efficiency of the development of each community in the rural areas.
Yes. Dr. Sahar, how important it is to determine the activities of each village in accordance with its resources to grant the success of the project, notably those of Decent Life Initiative, because as we mentioned, each village has its uniqueness and perhaps its own uniqueness in terms of human resources and natural resources. So how can we determine the activities in accordance to that?
When you start any business, you focus on the location. What does it mean, location? Location means the raw material you need is around you. It's within 10 miles or 20 miles of your building. So you have access to your raw materials. You have access to the people that you will hire. You have access to channels of transportation easily to other areas. So each village has to be studied individually before deciding on their type of industry or projects, the availability of raw materials, availability of skilled labor around the area, accessibility of this village to other villages and to the main cities, Cairo, Alexandria, etc. So I believe it's very crucial to identify each village with its benefits and privileges to coping industries.
Yes, that's very important. And also it's very important to focus more on women, because as you mentioned, to achieve gender equality in terms of providing jobs and qualifying women, especially entrepreneurs in poor villages, for the market, and preparing women to be part of the workforce in those villages. How do you see that?
How can they forget women? How can they forget the engine behind the development of each community? And I don't see them ignoring. Even the president is putting women empowerment objective as one of the very high priority issues on his agenda.
Yes,
and I agree with him. Women are the engine behind the development of any economy.
Yes.
Women are 50% of the power. You cannot deny their input, their energy, and their enthusiasm, which is very important.
Yes, true. I'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Sahar Nazmi, Professor of Economy. Thank you very much for being with us in this segment of The Breakfast Show. And ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more coming up here on The Breakfast Show.